At some point, survival mode stops being enough, and you start imagining, dreaming, scheming, plotting, and planning to transition your life to somewhere that you can actually thrive from ease instead of over efforting, exhaustion, and doing too much. If that sounds familiar to you, hello, welcome, hi. My name is Elle, also known as the Empress of Ease. I'm the creator of the House of Ease, and I'm the #1 life coach in the world, where I help ambitious, high achieving, and exhausted women have sweeter, softer, more ease-filled lives. I'm also the creator of School of the Well-Rested, and we have a brand new workshop coming up December 21st, 2025, called the Money Machine Workshop. It's only open to a select group of 8 women. And so once that 8 cap is filled, it's closed and you'll have to catch us on the replay. You will not be able to join us live. In this workshop, we mine your life for the skills, the resources, the tools, the life experience that you already have, that someone would pay you at least $100 an hour for a coaching or a consulting call with you. It's probably something that you're sitting on, that you're taking for granted, that you don't think that people are going to pay you for. And in this workshop, I walk you step by step through my proprietary exercise so you can understand not only what the skill is, but how to market it without a huge social media following, without a huge email list, and start making money immediately. So if that sounds good to you, check out the link in the description below and sign up for our Money Machine call. And without further ado, we're on with today's conversation. Today, I'm going to share with you the top 5 reasons that Black women are starting over in Thailand. I recently moved to Bangkok 6 weeks ago, but I have lived in Chiang Mai, Thailand, which is North Thailand, a few years ago in 2019. I returned to Bangkok and I am in love. I wake up every day, feel so excited. I have landed on the right timeline. This is exactly how I want to be living my life every single day. It feels so good. Every single day, I'm so happy to be here. I'm in my dream condo in my dream neighborhood, and it is a dream come true. So without further ado, here are the top 5 reasons. 1, and I can only speak from my own personal experience, but there are several Black women who are making videos on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and sharing about their experience living in Thailand. Antoinette Yvonne is right here on YouTube. I'll link her channel below, as well as Javon J and Glow Atanmo, all Black American women who have moved to Thailand in the last few years and have YouTube channels where they talk about their lives and experiences. I will link all of their channels below so you don't just hear my experience about why I'm here, but you can also get a well-rounded experience of Black American women who are living and thriving and having their best lives in Bangkok, Thailand. I'm going to give you 5 reasons that I moved to Bangkok in no particular order. These were just all my 5 non-negotiables and essentials for whatever country I moved to next. Now, for a little background for me, I have lived in and traveled to 24, 25 countries at this point. The last country I lived in internationally long-term was Rwanda in 2022. I'll put a link to the video right here where I talk about my year living in Rwanda and eventually, ultimately, why I left. I've also lived in France. I've lived in Togo. I've lived in Mexico. I've traveled to multiple countries. I've traveled to every continent except for Antarctica. So I have quite a well-rounded experience living out and about in the world. So in no particular order, these are my 5 reasons that I chose Bangkok this time. Number 1, I knew I needed to be somewhere that was going to be warm year-round. I need heat on my skin. I need the sun on my skin. I like to be naked in the sun most of the year. I need to feel heat on my skin. It's essential. It helps me feel alive. It helps me feel like myself. It helps me feel vibrant and energetic and excited about life. So that was a non-negotiable. There are very few occasions when I'm actually overly heated. Most of the time, hot is fine for me. So right now it's November in Bangkok and it is 80 degrees. Happy as a lark. Reason number 1. Reason number 2, after living in Rwanda, which was wonderful in lots of ways and not a great match in other ways, one thing I learned in Rwanda, which wasn't even on my radar before I moved there, was that I need a place where food is art. Food is celebration. Food is interesting and creative, and there's all kinds of different food. In Rwanda, food for the most part is sustenance. It's not an artistic expression. And I needed to be somewhere where I could really enjoy eating. And when I tell you I enjoy eating in Thailand, I enjoy eating in Bangkok, these people know how to do food and beverages right and well. Love it, love it, love it. So those are some things that were just like very wonderful things to have that were non-negotiables and helped me determine where I wanted to go: heat and good food. Now, these are things that are really more about the culture of the place. I knew that I needed to be somewhere where kindness was a cultural norm and cultural value, not just for foreigners, not just for tourists or expats, but that people are kind with each other, that people take care of each other culturally, where respect is seen as a value. And in no way am I saying that Thailand is perfect. I don't think anywhere on the planet is perfect, but I do think that there are places that value kindness more than others, especially as someone who has come from the United States, where kindness is definitely not a cultural value or cultural norm overall. So I knew I wanted to be somewhere that was culturally, that I would be taken care of and treated with kindness, even when I made perhaps cultural snafus. As I'm learning the culture, as I'm learning the language, as I'm learning the people, I knew I was going to make mistakes. I knew I was going to do things that may be not the right way to do something, maybe not exactly how I should do it. And I needed to be someplace that was going to give me grace, that was going to be kind as I learned, as I bumped my head along the way and just did my best to learn, but that wasn't going to judge me or criticize me or punish me negatively if I made any snafus. And one example of cultural kindness that I've experienced since being in Bangkok is I was on the back of a motorcycle taxi going to an event. It was dark, it was night, and we were zipping and zopping, bipping and bopping, weaving in and out of traffic as motorcycle taxis do. We pulled over on the side of a road. We're going through some traffic, and it was pretty thick traffic, but we made it all the way through the traffic. And then the motorcycle taxi just pulled over and parked on the shoulder of the road and did this, told me to hold on, hopped off the taxi, and ran into the middle of the street. Because what we had passed was a car that was stalled in the middle of the street. Now, we had already passed this starred call. For all intents and purposes, we could have just kept going on our way to my destination. But the driver said, hold on, pulled over, got out of the taxi, ran and got behind the car with 5 other men and helped push this car out of the middle of the road, and then got back in the taxi and we went to my destination. Now, that is an act of kindness. That is a simple act of kindness that's really ingrained in Thai culture. Another example of this has to do with cars and parking. One of the things that's just normal here is if you park your car in a parking lot, say there are cars parked parallel, and then you park in front of the cars, you leave your car in neutral so that if someone needs to come and move your car out of the way so that they can exit or enter this parking space that you're blocking, they can do it with ease because you left your car in neutral. I saw this when I first arrived in Bangkok, and the Airbnb family came and picked me up from the airport, and they told me that this is what was happening in the airport parking lot as we were driving out. I'll drop the video right here where I narrate my trip from Seattle all the way to Bangkok, and I have another example of this happening in the parking lot in this video. So I'll check this out right here. So this is just what I mean by kindness, right? It's just ingrained in the culture. Again, I'm not saying everyone here is kind, everyone here is sweet, but it's definitely noticeable when people aren't, when people are rude, right? There is something about a sweetness and a kindness in Thailand that I deeply value and appreciate. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Thai people are pushovers. They're not. The martial art of Muay Thai comes from Thailand, right? I'm not saying these people are passive people, but I'm saying kindness is a cultural norm and a cultural value, which allows my nervous system to rest and reset and be well taken care of and well supported. Heat helps my nervous system feel well rested and well supported and well taken care of. Another huge factor is the cost of living, of course. Now, you will see all kinds of videos that say condos for $300, condos for $200, luxury condo for $400. Now, maybe you can find some places like that. I talk about how to find the best condos in Bangkok in this video right here. I'll also link it in the description below. I give you best practices that I use to find my condo in this video. There are all kinds of large and small condos, but ultimately, at the end of the day, your money will go farther here than it does in the United States. That's one thing. But the quality of care, because again, kindness is a cultural value, consideration is a cultural value here. There are things that are just baked into condo life that I appreciate so much. For example, all of most condos here have a guard at the front who let cars in and out, who manage traffic, and I'm sure they have other duties that I'm not even aware of. That's helpful. They have a facilities desk that takes all the packages. There is a dedicated desk outside where food delivery drivers drop off the food. All of this is true and helpful and convenient, but what's the undergirding quality that allows all of this to run smoothly is that there's a sense of trust here. There's a sense of ease and trust here because the door to the building, when the front desk people go home, is open. It's unlocked. The packages are still just sitting there. If you haven't picked it up, they're there. It's safe. It's safe to leave packages in an unlocked apartment building. I know people who don't lock the door to their condo. I'm not quite there yet. But I know people who don't even worry about that kind of thing. So there's a way that my nervous system gets to relax and rest and be deeply nourished and taken care of because I'm not always on edge. Even being here, I noticed there were things that I was just hyper vigilant about, hyper aware of. Are they trying to scheme on me? Is this company trying to get over? Is this person taking advantage of me? No, girl, they're not. They're not. And I'm not saying don't mind your P's and Q's, but I'm saying my sense of like being really making sure that all the things I wasn't going to get got were often unnecessary. And I only say often. I haven't had any experiences where I got or anyone tried to get me, but I have seen some things online where people have been scammed or taken advantage of. But I would just say, even if I'm being overzealous by saying, I want my receipts, I want everything signed, read your contracts, like do the things the basic things. Don't just say, oh, kindness is a value in Thailand. No one's going to take advantage of me. No one's going to take me for granted. Or no, we're not saying all that. We're not saying all that. I'm still saying dot your I's, cross your T's, be on your P's and Q's. But I'm noticing within myself that I was coming from a place of hypervigilance, hyper awareness, hyper protection, because I'm from a country that will get over where and when and how they can, whenever they can get over. And I've had to like really trust that there is a different culture here. It's a different economy of safety and trust that isn't based on scarcity, lack, fear, and greed. Again, I'm not saying that there aren't people here who have those qualities, but it's not the dominant cultural value of Thailand. Convenience is also so easy here, which comes under the cost of living. No matter what your economic level is when you come here, you can take the bus. You can take the train, you can take motorcycle taxis, you can take car taxis, you can take whatever you need to get around, however you need to get around. And it's still very chill. It's very easy. It's very well organized. Something else that feels really good to me is that it's clean. That's one thing I also loved about Rwanda, about Kigali specifically. It was clean. Bangkok, despite being a very huge, very busy, very populated metropolitan city, is also very clean. I saw my first mouse in Bangkok the other day come out from a little street corner and then run under a car, and then I just kept walking, right? So I'm not saying there aren't rodents here, but I am saying it's not a dirty city. It's not an unkept city. It's a very organized, very well managed, very well taken care of city, which allows my nervous system to rest. I don't feel like I'm in survival mode. There's a thoughtfulness, there's a courtesy, there's an ease baked into the city of Bangkok, baked into the country of Thailand. Even as many cars are on the street, as many motorcycles are on the street, as busy as the streets are, it's a pretty quiet metropolitan city. It's a pretty quiet city. And that feels good to me too. My nervous system is not on edge, trying to navigate the zipping and the zopping and the bipping and the bopping and the noises and the honking and the cars. Another thing that is more subtle, but plays into my nervous system ease and being well taken care of here, is that the trains run on time. You know that they're going to come every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, or every 7 minutes. And each line is marked. You know when the trains are coming, which I think also soothes the nervous system. They come consistently and they come on time. You're not sitting there waiting to see if you've missed the train, if the train is coming, is it later? You can make your appointment, da 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 da. The trains come when they say they're going to come, like clockwork, which just creates so much room and spaciousness for exhale. The other thing that is subtle, especially if you haven't been to other Asian countries, is people are not tripping. They are not sweating about me being a Black woman or not looking like them. I walk out into the street, people don't pay that much attention to me, other than sometimes I get compliments and people tell me how beautiful I am, which I appreciate and I will take. But no one's staring and pointing. When I've been to India twice, both times I was a spectacle. People were staring and pointing. It's been a few years, maybe things have changed. That was my same experience in China. People have stared at me in many Asian countries, stared and point. Thailand, they are not tripping, they are not staring, they are not pointing. They are just letting me live my best life as they are living their best lives. It is a place of ease, of relaxation, of peace, not just because it's different, not just because it's warm and the food is good, but because it's a cultural norm and standard and expectation here. It feels like there's a structure of ease and peacefulness, which I deeply experience. It is a place where I can be and exhale and feel like, oh, I can now, what do I want to create from this place of ease, of this place of exhale? I'm not having to be so diligent every single day to create a sanctuary of ease inside chaos. I'm actually have a sanctuary of ease and sweetness inside a wonderfully warm and easy and convenient and chill city and country of Bangkok, Thailand. I feel really, really, really grateful to be here. And I'm excited because next year, I'm just planting a seed right here. So let me know in the comments below if this is something you might be interested in. Next year, I'm planning on my first retreat in Bangkok, Thailand. It's going to be Chef's Kiss. I'm going to take you to all my favorite bougie restaurants, body treatments, so that we can have a week of ease filled with leisure, luxury, and lollygagging, because that's how I love to live. And if you want to experience that kind of leisure, luxury, and lollygagging in Bangkok, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Keep your eye posted here because I'm going to be sharing a lot more about my first upcoming Bangkok retreat. In the meantime, let me know if you have any questions about living in Bangkok. I will be happy to make a Q&A video. So let me know in the comments below what your questions are. And in the meantime, and in between time, if you are dreaming and scheming and plotting and planning and imagining what your life could be like abroad, but you like, I ain't got that money though, Elle. I really want to get my money up before I go. Come join us in the Money Machine Workshop. Learn how you can make at least $100 an hour from a skill that you already have, that someone actually and already wants right here and right now. I will hold your hand and walk you through it step by step. I would love for you to join us live. But if you are watching this after December 21st, 2025, you can just watch the replay. Click the link below and you can watch the replay. And I will love to see you there. In the meantime, check out this video right here where I talk about how I prepared to move to Bangkok, what the steps I took to make sure that I could get here and live this life of leisure, luxury, and lollygagging that I so deeply love. In the meantime, I will see you there. Take care. Bye for now.